Hi, welcome to Tammy's Tiny Tots Reborns. Well, today I'm going to change my newest little baby again because, not again. This is her. Well, this isn't the outfit she came home in. This is an outfit that I put on her after I actually got her home. So anyway, I'm going to put this little sleeper that her Auntie Lana gave her. And I realized after my video, and this is from Kokoli. Yeah. I realized after I made my video yesterday, or the other day, I don't know if I made a video yesterday. I don't know, I'm confused right now. But when I made my video introducing her, I don't think I said who her artist was that painted her. And if we get an interruption, my granddaughter is here. And she might come knock on the door and go, Grandma. I told her I was making a video, but that doesn't, that doesn't stop her. Anyway, her artist, this little baby's artist is Christine's Reborn Angels, which is a friend of mine named Trina is the artist, but she goes by Christine's Reborn Angels. It's named after her daughter that tragically passed away in a car accident. So yeah, anyway, that's who reborned her for me. And yeah, so I forgot to mention that. Okay, so second thing I wanted to tell you is I have decided to name her Olivia. I have decided that her name is going to be, I need to get her a new diaper, one that fits a little better. I'm going to use this one for now. And yeah, so oh, hold on one second. Hey, Miss Elena, don't be banging the door, honey. I'm making a video, okay? I'm just kidding. Okay. She's playing house with, she has a reborn doll, and I just gave her a diaper for her reborn doll. She has Rachel and Ramsey from Paradise Galleries. It's an older sculpt. I bought it for her, 2 years ago now, when she was 2. I bought it for her when she was 2. Yeah, so lift this little Rumpelstiltskin up. Put this diaper down. There we go. Look at that. Ha, we did it. So I decided to name this little girl Olivia after my all-time favorite television program, which is Law and Order Special Victims Unit. I gave John the final decision on whether her name would be Olivia, or if we would name her Mariska, or Marisha, I think that's how she pronounces it. Marisha, you need to powder your face. So yeah, I decided that I wanted to name her that. I was watching Law and Order, holding her, and I kept looking down at her, and she just reminded me of Olivia from the show. So yeah, so that was what made me decide on that name. And I'm sorry if you hear a lot of yelling, trying to explain to a 4-year-old that she needs to be quiet while I make a video, a little quieter. Yeah, not gonna happen. Oh, come on and open. My gosh. Having a heck of a time with my powder. Here we go. I love this container, but at the same time, it's a pain in the butt. There we go. She's got a little, I'm gonna probably have to wipe her down. I think this brush might be. All right. She doesn't really need powder anywhere else. She just had a little shiny spot on her cheek. So, here we go. All right. So, her name is now Olivia. Olivia. Thank you for all the name suggestions. I passed them by the boss, John. I call him the boss. And he was like, no, no, no. He didn't even like the name Clark that I picked. Did he, honey? No, he didn't. He didn't even like that one. Look how squishy she is. Okay, so I thought for today's video, for our Friday, that I would I found a tag a while back, and this tag is, I found it on a channel that I haven't watched in a while, but I just happened to see a video pop up and I watched it, and I decided to do the video. It's a tag I found it on Ruby Red Reborn's channel, and I guess originally by Little Midwest Reborns and Dolls is who originally made it. So it is basically your favorite summer memories from when you were a child and now. So here we go. So let's see, when I was a kid, it's not really questions, I guess. Yeah, it's not really questions. It's literally what your favorite memories from when you were a child, like your favorite like summertime memories from when you were a kid, and what your memories from being an adult, your favorite summertime memories as an adult. If you're an adult, which I think almost everybody on my channel is an adult now, because I did put it for adults, recommended for adults, not for kids. So mostly everybody on here would be an adult now. All right, so number one thing that I remember as when I was a young kid, like a little girl, well, that fits her perfect. We used to go camping every summer to a campground here in Ontario, Canada, in Northern Ontario. Well, not Northern Ontario, but Northern Ontario. We'd go camping at Algonquin Park every summer, and sometimes we'd go with just my mom, my dad, and my brother and I, and sometimes we would go with relatives, like my aunt would come, my aunt and uncle, with my cousins, you know, depending, some of my aunt and uncles, different aunt and uncles and stuff would sometimes come. We also camped at other campgrounds while I was growing up. We would camp closer to where I live now, near London. When I was a kid, because my aunt and uncle lived up this way, so sometimes we'd camp there. And yeah, we'd go camping for at least a week, sometimes 2 weeks, depending on what my dad had for his holidays that year. And then my number two thing I remember when I was a kid of what we did in the summer was when I got older. I had an aunt that lived in Brownsville, which is about a half an hour from an aunt and uncle that lived in Brownsville, which is about half an hour to 40 minutes-ish drive from London. So my brother and I, if we were together, we would fight. So Mom would split us up, and I would go for a week at my Aunt Nancy and my Uncle Gary's with my cousin Jason and Jeff. And my brother would spend a week at the Gillespie's with my cousin Connie and my cousin Michael. And they would then, after the week, then we would swap. And I would go to the Gillespie's, and he would go to my Aunt Nancy and my Uncle Gary's. So basically, my Aunt Nancy and they were both Aunt Nancy's, by the way. My Aunt Nancy Gillespie and my Aunt Nancy Rachel would meet up in London, and we'd all go for lunch, and then we would go and I would go home with the Gillespie's, and Jeremy would go home with the Rachers, and then we'd spend a week at those two houses, and then my parents would come down and pick us up and take us back home after that. Yeah. So, this Passy. trying a new passy. I might have to cut a little tiny bit of it off because it doesn't seem to go quite deep enough into her mouth. So I might have to cut the tip off. I don't know. We'll see. It's not that bad. There we go. All right. So that's the other thing I remember. And my cousin Connie, I loved going there because they had a pool in their backyard. And sometimes we would also go to the Gillespies had a trailer when I was younger, and they got rid of it when I was a little bit older. But we'd sometimes go to their trailer at the KOA campground, and we would spend some time at the trailer and have fun at the campground at the trailer. And I remember one time when we used to go camping there, the KOA had a little zoo with animals, and there were these emus, and my cousin Connie and I walked up to see the emus, and they come running over, and the one pooed all over the ground, and the other one was like over a fair ways away. He came, or she, I don't know, came running full tilt, and then ate what the other one dropped on the ground out of its backside. Oh my gosh, my cousin and I were gagging. It was so disgusting. Ugh. And I remember there was a peacock there that we liked to try to get the peacock feathers and keep the feathers. And they had 2 pools at the KOA campground. One was a little wading pool, and the other one was a big pool. Well, my dad told my brother when he was like 3 to dive into the wading pool, and he did, and hit the concrete bottom and cracked his head. And oh my goodness, my brother, while we were at that KOA, my cousin Michael was riding his bike, and he had my brother sitting on the seat holding Michael's waist, and Michael was standing up and riding. And somehow, don't know exactly how, but my brother's ankle ended up in the back spokes of the bike, which then flipped my cousin Michael and my brother off the bike. We were right near, Connie and I were riding bikes as well, but we had our own bikes. And so there was a trailer right where the accident happened, and the guy started helping my brother, getting it wrapped up in gauze, and Michael jumped on Connie's bike and rode as fast as he could back to our camper and told our parents that Jeremy was hurt. And my dad got in the car, drove around the campground over to where this gentleman's trailer was, and he ended up having to take my brother in, and my brother had to have a whole bunch of stitches put in his foot. It was really a mess. So yeah, I remember that, but I always remembered that going to the trailer and stuff was just so much fun. And also when I was younger, more teenage years, because I moved to Muskoka, Gravenhurst, when I was 11. And I remember every summer, whatever relatives would come to visit, all my cousins were younger than me, except Connie. Connie and I were the same age. And my cousin Julie was only a year younger than me. Those were the only ones the closest to me in age-wise. Rest of my cousins were all like way younger than me. So everybody would come up to visit, we would do a day trip to Santa's Village in Bracebridge, which is like 10 minutes from Gravenhurst, where I lived in my last years of school, I guess you could say. From grade 5 to adult, I lived in Gravenhurst. So yeah, every summer we'd go to Santa's Village, and I'd end up going to Santa's Village probably 6 times in a summer because we'd go with, my aunt and uncle, with Jason and Jeff and Aaron, and then we'd go with my aunt, Uncle Ian, my aunt Ginger, and their 2 girls, Jennifer and Angie. We'd go with, who else? Oh, my mom's best friend came up with her 2 girls who were way younger than me. And we'd take them to Santa's Village. And yeah, anybody who came that had young kids, we'd end up spending the day at Santa's Village. So I got to go to Santa's Village a lot as a teenager. Actually, some of my friends worked at Santa's Village up north, and they always told me, why don't you just get a job here? You could just see your family when they visit. And I thought about it. If I had had a way to get from Gravenhurst to Bracebridge, I probably would have done it. When I was a teenager, my dad decided to take the camping and change it and he started doing interior camping with my brother and I when we got older, where we could paddle canoes. You go from one lake to another lake. You're staying on campsites that are very wild. Some of them are like on an island in the middle of a lake that you had to paddle to get there. There's no bathrooms, no electricity, nothing. It's just, literally there's a path from your campsite to a square box, wooden box in the bush that has a toilet seat on it. You lift the toilet seat and you go to the bathroom. Now, only one interior camping site that we ever found and stayed at, somebody had, I guess they like to use that campsite, so they had actually built, they took enough wood in or whatever, they ended up building an outhouse. So it was the only one. And I'll never ever forget that campsite, because when you interior camp, you have to take your food backpack and put it on a piece of rope and then get it up into the trees to stop the bears and stuff from getting into your pack of food. So this one night, they got the food all packed up and up into the tree, and my dad realized somebody had forgotten to put a Ziploc bag of dried prunes into the backpack. And instead of bringing the backpack down to, put the prunes in and put the backpack back up in the tree again, my dad just said, I'll just eat them all, eat the rest of them. There's not that many. Well, we were supposed to head out the next morning, pack up our campsite, and head to the next campsite that we had on our map, our plan of our trip. So at 2 a.m., my dad was in the outhouse and couldn't get out of there. He was in, out, non-stop from 2 a.m. till about 7, 8 o'clock in the morning. So we ended up spending an extra day at that campsite. So we just did some swimming and had some fun, because my dad didn't feel like paddling because he was exhausted from being up all night, going to the bathroom. Poor guy, that had to be really crappy. Sorry, that was a really bad joke. Okay, yeah. When I was a kid, the one trip I really remember too was when I was 12. My grandparents had moved from Ontario to Alberta. They moved to Grand Prairie, Alberta. And so my brother and I, being the oldest grandchildren, we were the first ones that my grandparents, and I think the only ones, because my grandpa got sick a while after with cancer, a while after, and ended up passing away. So he passed away when I was 16, but his health wasn't good from when I was 12 to between my 12 and 16. So I don't think my other cousins ever got old enough to be able to go, unfortunately. So we went out west to Grand Prairie, Alberta, and that was a pretty exciting trip. My grandfather took us to a logging competition. My grandmother's son, which is my uncle, but not biologically, but he's still my uncle, he was a logger, and so they had logging competitions, and they asked my brother and I if we wanted to be runners, and if we did the runner job, and I'll explain what a runner job is after. If we did the runner job, then we'd get a whole bunch of tickets for the rides in the carnival park, because there was always, there was carnival, there was the logging competitions, and then there was also horse races that you could go and watch horse racing. So we decided to do the running, and what the running is you're down where the action's happening for the logging competition, and you stand there and you wait until let's say Joe and Fred finish their little race of competing to see who can chop through the log the fastest, or whichever. So when the race is over, the people that are timing and write down the scores, write them all on a piece of paper, hand them to me, and I have to run like the wind up to the guy who's got the microphone and is doing all the announcing, so everyone can hear the scores and hear who won first and who won second, and by their times. And so that was our job. We would get a time, piece of time paper handed to us, and we had to run like the wind, and there was about 5 of us, and so we wouldn't get too exhausted, and we'd run up, hand it in, run back down to where the competition was happening, and wait for the next score to be handed to you to run it up and give it to them. So that was quite fun. And then we went to Jasper National Park in that borders Alberta and BC, and we had a blast going through there, checking it out, seeing the mountain goats and seeing the beautiful lakes and just the different stuff there. And then after we left Jasper Park, my grandparents had a pickup truck with the little camper, you know, on the back of the pickup truck, like not the kind you pull behind your truck, but that sits in the box of your truck. And so we camped in that for a week because we were there out west for 2 weeks. My brother and I climbed a mountain and got to go to the top of a mountain and see everything, you know, from the top of a mountain. And then after we left Jasper Park and went out, you know, climbed the mountain and stuff, then we headed back into Edmonton, Alberta, and we went to the Edmonton Mall, the big mall. Now, when we went there, it was so long ago that the lake that has been now built in that mall did not even exist yet. But there was a model there of what the lake and what they had intention to, that they were built, like what they were planning to build was all in a big model. And they did have a ice rink was there, and they did have a carnival, like I called it Wonderland because it reminded me of Canada's Wonderland, but a smaller, of course. Had an arcade, and it had a few different rides and stuff that you could ride. Now I think they have even more, and it's way bigger. But yeah, I got to go there before the lake with the submarine and all that stuff was ever built. So that was all my kid ones. And then my adult summer. Well, I've been enjoying my summer, the last couple summers, going to St. Mary's for 3-day little stints at a beautiful B&B with my friends, with Lana. It's mostly Lana and I, and then any friends that want to join us. We leave it open to whoever wants to join us. You just have to let us know. And if we have an empty bed that month, because we can fit 6 people, so Lana and I plus 4, and yeah, we're done for this summer. We decided because we got to get ready for the doll show in September. Normally our doll show in London is in October, so normally we would go and do August trip to St. Mary's, but unfortunately no, not this year. So, and then I enjoy going trips with, you know, to the zoo and stuff with my kids and my grandkids. We've done a couple little trips to a little zoo in Chatham, and yeah, we've been, yeah, so, and then it's not really from the summer, but my, you know, was for me a big thing that I remember, like as an adult, that has been an amazing thing in my life and biggest memory is I got to be at the birth of 2 of my grandkids. Ezra, my daughter-in-law, let me come in the delivery room. I got to see him enter the world. And my grandson Benjamin, I got to see him be born. My daughter I was going to get kicked out, but she decided in the end that she really wanted to me to be in the delivery room. And then fishing. We love to go fishing, and we have been sharing our love of fishing with our grandkids so far. Elena, we've got her fishing so far. She's the oldest, so you have to wait till they get older, you know, before they can understand to be around really sharp objects like fishing hooks and stuff like that, and stuff. So I'm sure next summer we'll be getting the 3 boys out fishing next summer. So there you go. There is my tag from favorite summer memories from when I was a child and from now. Unfortunately, I don't have as many memories from summer now because I don't do as much stuff anymore. Like John and I used to go hiking all the time, and I loved the hiking. So there you go. Like that's another adult thing. I loved going hiking, but unfortunately, you know, the last couple years have not been the greatest, and so we didn't get out and to do as much things as we would have liked to. Well, everyone, I hope you enjoyed this really long tag video, and I'd love to see what your childhood memories are. You can either tell me in the comments one of your favorite childhood memories, or if you have a YouTube channel, let me know that you made a video, and I'll go and I'll watch it and see what your childhood memories are. If I don't leave a comment, it's because I watched your video while I was reborning, and I watched them on my telly, and I can't comment on the TV very easily. So, but I am watching. I'm just not commenting. So just keep that in mind. I am watching, but I'm not commenting. So everybody have yourself a wonderful Friday and a great weekend, and smile and share a smile with a friend. Say bye-bye, Olivia. Bye-bye.